country fans out there, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Coda Country Chats podcast. I'm Leigh. Thanks so much for joining us here today. And I am going to nerd out just a little bit on this podcast episode. We have composer, singer, songwriter extraordinaire, Lauren Lucas with us in studio. How are you, Lauren?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on Coda Country. I'm excited to be here.
Oh my goodness. And you have so many wonderful things going on. You've had this expansive career of fantastic opportunities for your songwriting to kind of flourish. Let's talk about one of the biggest things right now, which is this hit Netflix show called Leanne. Listeners out there, if you haven't tuned in and watched Leanne, starring Leanne Morgan, you will definitely want to tune in and catch those episodes that are out right now. And when you hear this beautiful vocal of Leanne, there we go. We're talking to Lauren Lucas. She helped write the music and she's singing the main theme, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh. So
You
I
sing that
read a little bit.
beautifully.
Oh, I don't. That's fun. It's so
Don't come after my
catchy. It's
job.
hard not to sing. Oh my gosh, never, never. No, but it's so fun to listen to, and it is super catchy. I will say that was one of those little catchy jingles that I just had in my head automatically as soon as I heard it. Let's chit chat for the listeners out there, just so they know kind of how this opportunity came to be, because I'd love to know more about that.
Mm. Yeah, so an Americana blues artist named Keb Mo invited me onto the project. Keb, for any of your listeners, I have a feeling a lot of your listeners probably do know who Keb Mo
Oh yeah.
is, but just in case they don't, he is like five-time Grammy award-winning blues Americana legend in my book. I mean, I have been a fan of his music for over 20 years. I remember singing one of his songs for my senior recital to graduate from Belmont University. So, I mean, I have truly just been a fan. He's been one of my biggest musical inspirations. And I got a chance to meet him about 3 years ago. I was hired to be a duet partner for him for a marketing campaign. And we just hit it off and just became friends. And I kind of forced him to be my mentor. I kept calling him to take him to coffee and kept asking him questions about how he made his records. And we just would talk about music and life and spirituality and just really just became friends. And so a few, I don't know, maybe a year, I don't even know how long it was, but after a while of that, he invited me to sing on one of his albums. And then we eventually started writing songs together. And about the time we started writing songs, Chuck Lorre last year called him, and he had already composed music for several Chuck Lorre sitcoms. He sang and wrote the theme for Mike and Molly. He scored the music for Be Positive, which was on TBS, another Chuck Lorre show. So he and Chuck had a nice relationship for years. So Chuck called Keb and said, "Hey, wondering if you would compose, the music for the score of another sitcom that's coming out, comedian Leanne Morgan.
Yep.
What do you think?" And so he called me and said, "Hey, I want you to be a part of the team." And so I was elated. I mean, for all kinds of reasons, to be able to work with him on a project like this, to really have my first experience scoring for television. I've been focused on TV and film music, and so it just checked a lot of boxes for me. So I don't know, it was just a fantastic opportunity. I'm really honored I was asked.
Well, and to hear about this, knowing a little bit about the premise of the show, and I've seen it, I would say this is almost a perfect fit. So in Keb's mind, maybe Keb Mo's mind, maybe it just kind of made sense to him that you were the perfect person to bring on this project because of your influence musically and your songwriting style. And let me ask you this too. When you are composing like instrumental pieces for different parts of the show, in my head, I kind of have this like film clip of I think it's the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall when he like has to watch what's happening and then he
Oh,
plays this like strange little theme.
yes.
I don't, anyway. So I didn't know
The
if that's what
vampire
it's like
music.
for. Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, crazy. It's weird how my brain works like that. But yes, is that how it goes though? Do you watch parts of the show and like try to figure out little instrumental um themes or motives to go through and kind of segue scene to scene, or do you just kind of have like a compilation of different instrumental tracks or feels or whatever you want to call it to kind of plug and
Mhm.
chug in different places?
Yeah, I mean, we even had the creepy puppets and everything that they had in Sarah Marshall. No, I'm kidding. I haven't thought of that movie in forever,
I
but I
know it's
love
so
that movie.
random.
Um,
Yeah.
just kidding. We didn't have puppets, but we did have the visuals. So
Okay.
we got to see the show every episode
Hmm.
before the rest of the world did. Of course, it had no music under it because we were creating that music, which
Yeah.
really does change. I mean, it just changes so much. Like, imagine being at a party and they didn't have music on. It would be like kind of weird, you know? And that's
Yeah.
how it feels when you're watching TV without any atmospheric music, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to actually compose to picture. So we would watch the episodes. We get a time log from the producers telling us, like, hey, at this timestamp, we need something here. We want something here. We want something here. So every episode had between 8 and 16 what they call cues
Mhm.
that we would fill with music. And for your listeners out there who maybe have watched the season one of
Yeah.
Leanne, it's that dun 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 dun, dun music, between
Yeah.
scenes, so
Yeah. Yeah.
really little chunks of music. Um, and then we did have to create a full song at the end for the end credits, which
Yeah.
of course no one watches unless you very intentionally push the watch credits button, and then you can like jam out to our song at the end.
That's awesome. No, I love that. No, and that's so interesting to me. Okay, let me ask another music question because this is why Coda is in my like blood because I'm a music girl, okay? I went to school for
Well, and
music
you're a music
education.
teacher, right?
Yes, that is my like full-time gig. I'm a music teacher. And so
What
that's why
grades?
I'm Oh my gosh. Long story short, I taught elementary kids and then I went to high school for maybe like 8 years and now I'm back teaching elementary kids because I just love that life. I do. And it's been
Yeah,
it's been
that's
awesome. Yeah.
awesome.
Thanks for doing some research
I
on
have
me.
a
That is so sweet of you.
Oh, of course, yes. Oh, girl, I know you're from South Georgia, and you sang at the festivals and the pageants. I think. I mean, like we, I was right there with you on a lot of that. I have a 5-year-old, and they're having their grand friends little celebration tomorrow, and he got in the car today, and he's like, "Mom, since you won't be at the concert, let me sing for you the songs we're doing." And so he
Yay.
sang the songs, and so like he's in kindergarten, so I mean he's in an elementary school, and he loves his music teacher, and it really like makes my heart so full when I hear him enjoying that part of his education.
Yes, that's definitely a win as a music person too. I have a daughter who's 6 and a son who's 4, so we have little
Okay.
friends all right next to each other. So that's
Yeah.
so sweet.
Yeah.
But yes, and okay, so saying all that, going back, so when you write for film, when you write for TV, um, is there like an actual written score or is it like Nashville numbers? Like, do you write, I don't know, do you have like a chart? Do you have certain, I don't know, how does that go? Or do you guys just kind of rip it off the
We
fly?
actually didn't have any. Yeah, we didn't have any of
Wow.
that.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Awesome.
we pretty much it so I had never done this exact type of work before. I have
Cool.
written many, many, many songs in my
Yeah. Yeah.
career, and songs for radio and to release, for other artists and myself. I did have a song in a Broadway show, but even that I approached more as a songwriter rather than as a
Yeah.
composer. So this type of work was quite new for me, but I will say I was very pleasantly surprised at the parallels it really was just hearing, you said it, those motifs, those little
Yeah.
chunks of catchy hooks,
Hmm.
and just kind of starting with a beat and then really just singing melodies. And because it was all instrumental music, that's all we needed. There were
Yeah.
no lyrics, and
Hmm.
other than the theme, which is just the word Leanne. But it really was just listening and creating and just letting ideas flow through you melodically, and then putting instrumentation to it. So
Yeah.
if there was a melody line, it's like, okay, let's have the guitar do that, or let's have the synth pad do that, and then the guitar would just layer on chords that matched that melody.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, and then the bass line would just kind of follow. So it all just kind of came together very organically and very much like the songwriting
Yeah.
process. We just didn't write lyric to it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That really kind of opened my eyes because I've never had that experience. I don't think I've ever had a podcast guest that has been able to speak to that type of writing style or that type of, composing for music. So I think that's so interesting to me. I'm so glad that you were able to it kind of explain that process because it really just kind of opens my eyes to like how the creative process kind of takes over and you get what you need from what you know, which is great, you know.
Well, that's how we approached it, at least. I don't know. I mean, again, Keb called a bunch of Nashville songwriters. So, we did it the way we know to do it. But I guess if you were to call Hans Zimmer or something, he might approach it differently. But that's how we approached it, at least.
Well, and I guess for the show, it definitely works. It like I said, it's like a perfect fit. It all just kind of goes together and it works magically. So that's
Well, I'm
really
glad
great.
you think so.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Let's okay, you touched on this a little bit with writing for Broadway and I'm going to go into that too cuz I am wow. When I saw I was doing a little deep dive on your Instagram too. And seeing the clip of you being nominated for a Tony Award for, best original score. Um and I mean, I'm looking through the score credits, if you will, for Urban Cowboy,
Mhm.
the Broadway musical. For the listeners out there who don't know what I'm talking about, um, based off the 1980s movie, which I
Mhm.
am in love with. Um,
Yeah,
let's
that's a
talk.
good one.
I know. Let's talk about. I feel like, and I don't know where you were in your music journey at that point in your life, but looking at the people who are on this list, like Jeff Blumenkrantz and Jason Robert Brown, I mean, wow! In the Broadway community, those are like top tier names to be working with, and so I would love to know how that kind of transformed and took place for you to be involved in that project too.
Yeah. So that occurred in my career at the very, very beginning, believe it or not.
Wow!
Um, I think I was like 19 maybe when I wrote
Oh
that
my
song.
gosh, that's so cool.
And then that was the year I graduated from Belmont from college to, I think it was the 2003 Tonys.
Yeah.
Um, which is, I don't know, kind of wild and maybe sounds a little obnoxious to some people who've been writing songs
No
for a long time and
way.
like,
No.
but my path was just, oh, actually, I thought about you. Well, I connected with you on this when I was watching one of your Instagram things about Leanne Rhymes and how that was a big influence. She was a big influence.
Yes. Oh
And that's
yeah.
really how my career in Nashville started, was thanks to Leanne Rhymes, because
Oh my
she was
gosh.
a young teenager when she
Yeah.
hit. And then everyone in Nashville was looking for teenagers for their roster because it
Hmm.
worked once. So then everybody starts to follow the trend, right?
That's
So
right.
I'm from South Carolina. I was living there, going to high school, but through just relationships, my parents met someone at Sony Publishing, and I was signed to a publishing deal as a teenager
Wow.
in the wake of the Leanne Rhymes thing.
Oh my
So
gosh.
through all that, during that same time, I also grew up. I grew up listening to and loving country music and loving performing in community theater and musical theater. You know, all the Rodgers and Hammerstein and Gershwin and Cole Porter and Judy Garland and Bernadette Peters. And I mean, just like, I just loved all of it. You know, I was listening to Dolly
Yeah.
Parton and Bernadette Peters, you know, um, real, real popular kid, by the way.
Yes.
Um,
I get it.
not
Trust
so
me.
much.
Oh my gosh.
Total nerd, total nerd. Um, but all of that being said, uh, at the same time I was writing at Sony in the wake of the Leanne Rimes thing, I also got an opportunity to audition for an off-Broadway show.
Oh, wow.
And the director for that show, his name was Phil Osterman. And
Okay.
he cast me for that show. We workshopped it in Houston. I moved to Houston for a few months to do that. And then fast forward a few years, I graduated high school. I'm now at Belmont. Phil is now adapting the Urban Cowboy movie into a Broadway musical. And because I had that relationship with him prior from being cast in his off Broadway show, he actually called me and cast me as the Deborah Winger, the lead role for his workshop of
Oh
Urban
my
Cowboy.
gosh. Wow.
So I went to New York for just a week and read through the script. And it's basically like, this was a new process for me, but it to workshop a Broadway show takes years and years and years. I only
Okay.
did the very first one. They do years of workshopping,
Hmm.
but basically, you hold the script, like you don't even have to memorize the whole script. You're holding the script. You're with the other actors. You're acting out the script. And at the time, they had popular country songs like Brooks and Dunn and Chicks and real popular country songs
Yeah.
temped in place where they wanted the music. And so we would sing these cover songs wherever they were in the script while we were acting out the scenes. And it just gives the director and the screen or the script writers and the Broadway community just a little taste of the vision that's to come,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So I was cast to do that first. And then several years later, they're still in their workshopping process. They're ready to find original music and they wanted. Sorry, my 5-year-old came in.
Oh, sweet
Okay, thank you.
baby. Hey,
Hey,
darling.
sweet. Thanks, bud. Sorry about that.
No, you're
Um,
fine. I love it. I love it. I love it.
real life, the real here. Um,
Yes.
anyway, when it came time for them to find original music, there was one scene that they just could not find a pre-existing original song that had already been written and didn't really, I don't know, I guess maybe I don't even remember now. Maybe they had other people writing for it and I was trying to beat out what they had. I don't remember. But it was the scene where, if y'all remember in Urban Cowboy, the John Travolta character gets seduced by a rich cowgirl named Pam. And it's the scene, it's like
Bam.
the scene. And so that's, you know, and I had the script and of course I poured over that movie because of that, those experiences with the
Yeah.
workshop. So I knew the movie backwards and forwards. I knew the script already. And so I got with my friends Danny Arena and Sarah Light, and we wrote something very specifically to that scene based on the script for that particular experience. And he liked it, and it got in the show.
I I just think that's such a small world, but it's so it involves so many moving pieces that just fell into place. Like you workshopping the show and you also being in Houston and then going to Belmont and then all of these moving parts that just kind of align, like the stars align.
Mhm.
Oh gosh, that's thrilling to me to hear that story. Thank you so much for sharing that. Oh
Well,
my gosh.
oh my gosh, sure. I mean, and what you said is so true. It really, I have come to believe it does, it is stars aligning after a seed has been planted. It's always relationship based, always, like almost without fail. It is rare that you meet somebody who maybe is in a decision making capacity in the music business and you meet them right away and they go, I know exactly what to do with you and let's get to work. It just typically doesn't happen like that. You
Yeah.
plant the seed, you keep working, you expand your network, and then like eventually the right opportunity comes along. And it's I've really had to learn how to be patient because you never know what seeds you're planting.
Yeah.
And it's not up to you when they're gonna sprout, you know, but man, I can look back in hindsight and go, I mean, even meeting Kev Mo, I was introduced to Kev Mo from the guy that signed me when I was a teenager after the Leanne Rhymes thing. I mean, that's who introduced me to Kev
Wow.
Mo 30 years later. It's like, man, I kind of wish that seed didn't take 30 years to sprout, but hey, it sprouted when it sprouted and I am happy for it, you know? Like here it is.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Everything happens for a reason. I'm such a big believer in that. And all in good time. That's another piece too. It's like you never know when things are going to come about and when seeds are going to sprout like you said. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yep.
Okay, well, since you were talking about Belmont, I also read in your bio that you teach songwriting. You are now like a
Mhm.
professor at Belmont teaching songwriting. um Talk to me a little bit about what that curriculum looks like for your students. Do you kind of do like a masterclass workshop, or is it kind of, let's talk about, these certain topics, or here's a topic on the hook, here's a topic on, I don't know. How does that go for you?
Yeah. Yeah, so I primarily teach two different classes. I teach what we call commercial songwriting one, and then commercial songwriting two, and I also do mentorships with seniors. So
Cool.
commercial songwriting one, they're all 16-week classes. They're full, semester long courses, and songwriting one is more of the real technical. Um, Nitty gritty on how to actually write a song, which includes where do you find inspiration, how do you overcome writer's block, yes, what is a hook, and how do you hook a title or hook an idea,
Mhm.
how do you just kind of sketch it all out and prepare to start writing and give yourself the best opportunity for succeeding and being able to finish the song and feel good about it,
Yeah.
um, we talk about melody lines and how to create really great commercial hooky melodies.
Mhm.
We talk about co-writing because some students really just write on their own and have never co-written before in some
Wow.
cases. So that's
Mhm.
such an important part of the Nashville songwriting culture, at least, and in LA too, in New York as well. I mean, you have to be able to collaborate well. So we do some co-writing. So that's kind of song one, is just the real technical nitty gritty, and
Yeah.
then songwriting two, commercial songwriting two, is more about, okay, if that's the how, now let's look at the what. What are you going to focus all these new principles and ideas on? And so it's really almost me acting like a publisher, like if they were truly signed to a publishing deal and their publisher said, "Hey, I need a song about this. Go." Or
Mhm.
um, we basically just kind of point them in the direction of, hey, have you ever thought about this inspiration or digging here for an idea? So it's much more kind of loosey goosey. It's not a very structured class at all. Song one is
Yeah.
very structured. Song two, there's like hardly any structure, and it's just different prompts and ways to think about finding inspiration.
Oh, that is such a great, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to like break down the task analysis of writing a song, especially for musicians who are just like getting their feet wet in it. So I think that's such a great thing that you do at Belmont for these students who are wanting the inspiration, who are needing the guidance. Oh my gosh, you're such a busy lady. Wow. Because on top of that, you have your own music coming out. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
February 2026. You told me that you have some new music on the way. Steadily gonna release singles throughout next year. How
Yes.
long would you say the process of writing these new singles has taken you with all of the other things that you have going
Yeah, right. I know.
on?
Um, well, I will say it does, like, it definitely, I've been with a label before, but now I'm completely indie. And
Cool.
so for sure, I'm just one person. So I have to do things kind of seasonally.
Cool. Yeah.
Um, and so January through June was almost primarily focusing on Leanne,
Hmm.
and getting that done. And it was a big learning curve because we were all, figuring out what they wanted, and all that, but now that we kind of have the
Yeah.
secret sauce locked in, hopefully season two, which, we're hoping for, they did sign on for a season two. So,
Yeah.
hopefully that will be part of my 2026. We'll be composing,
Yes.
season two, I hope.
Heck yeah.
And then, yeah, as far as the music for next year, I have been focusing a lot on, uh, it's really fun to me to consider getting more songs placed in TV and film.
Mm.
Um, there's just a more flexibility and creativity that I've found, and less rules. And as you know, I'm not focused on country radio right now. And
Right.
so I'm just able to kind of expand and just kind of write whatever I want. And so I've been steadily working with track producers and other writers, just creating songs with the intention of pitching for TV film. But then I kind of looked up and went, well, gosh, I've got quite a bit of music ready to go that I also
Yeah.
really truly love authentically for me as an artist. And not every single thing I write is, I think, fits me as an artist, but
Mhm.
but a lot of the songs do. And so I'm like, look, I'm just going to roll them out. So I'm looking at hopefully an early February 2026 release of my next single, and then yeah, I've got a lot of music to follow. So I think 2026 will be a really busy, steady year of releasing some new music. I'm really excited about it.
Yes, that is exciting. I love asking this next question, just because it's one of those. As a songwriter, I've experienced, and I'm sure you've had these moments too. Um, would you say, and it doesn't have to be one of the new singles that you have coming out. It could be pretty much any song in your catalog. Um, do you have a song that you knew you wanted to create, like you had the vision for it, but it just wasn't coming together right off the bat? You had to put it down, you had to come back to it. I call it the labor of love song, right? Do you have a song like that? And can you describe the process and how long it took to finally get that song to come to fruition?
Yeah, gosh, I know while you were asking that question, I was like going through my head going, oh, there's two that come to mind.
Ooh, okay.
One is a song that is already released. It was off of an EP I released several years back. And the song is called Follow the Leader.
Oh,
And I had this idea of um, almost a little bit of a sarcastic, satirical look at the entertainment business. And I'd been signed with Warner Brothers, and they had made a full album and it was ready to go. They put me out on radio tour. I had some
wow.
really fabulous experiences there. And then, as so often happens, the person that signed me didn't stay in that position, and someone
Mm,
from LA came in, and they have their own agenda and their own priorities and who they want to sign. And so I got stuck on a shelf, which is, again, really common story. And so after leaving the label and kind of leaving that experience, I just had a I was kind of at the height of American Idol coming up and all
yeah.
these kind of contest talent shows. And I'm like, wait a second, like that wasn't even an option for me. Like, it was kind of like I was doing it the old fashioned way where you just kind of like
Yeah.
move to Nashville and like stick it out. I'm like, now there's all these people. And then like the Kardashian thing was happening. And it's like, what are people like? People are just getting famous for weird reasons. You know what I mean? Like, how
Right.
is this even happening? You know?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
so I was a little disillusioned, I guess you could say, with the entertainment business in general. And so I had this idea. I wanted to write about it. And I brought this idea to like two other writers and was like, I think it should sound almost like a nursery rhyme. Like it should be this like almost so simple that it I don't know. I don't know how I explained it to them, but in my head, it just had a nursery rhyme feel to it.
Yeah.
And they did not get it at all. They were just like, sorry, it doesn't sound like something, I'd write. I don't know. And they like politely were like, let's write something else. And then finally I brought the idea to my friend Chuck Jones, and he's like, I'm down, let's do it. And it turned out like exactly the way I wanted it to.
Oh
And
my
it
gosh.
does. It has what I found out is when you put a slightly sarcastic lyric with almost a nursery rhyme cheery, simple melody,
Yeah.
um, you get the sarcasm really comes out. It's like, and there's like irony all of a sudden. And so there
Yes.
was something about the juxtaposition that really worked for me at least. And I think it works for other people. When I play it live, at least sometimes people will come up and they don't know what my inspiration for the song is.
Hmm.
Because it's a bit of an allegory, really.
Yeah.
But they'll come up to me and go, I feel this way about our political climate right now, or I feel this
Hmm.
way about uh, my experience with my church, or I feel that, I feel this way about just different parts of their world. And that always makes me really happy because that's what I think music should do, is touch us and meet us wherever we are.
That's it.
So Follow the
Yes.
Leader is one of those songs.
Cool.
And I don't remember how long it took for me to eventually finish it. I mean, I would say I probably tried to get some co-writers to write it with me for a few months, and then when Chuck and I finally sat down, it came out easy. So
Good.
that
Yeah.
one took probably a few months, but it took a
Awesome.
while
Okay.
to find a home.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's another song that I have not released, and I don't know if I will because it's deeply, deeply personal.
Hmm. Hmm.
I do occasionally play it live in writers' rounds, but it's a song that was I don't know. I don't know how it was originally inspired, honestly. I saw an Instagram post years ago of a gentleman I don't know. The algorithm just, I found it through the algorithm, I guess,
Yeah.
of a stranger who lost his wife suddenly. And she passed away I think it was a medical condition, and
Oh, yeah.
left him with two small girls. And there was something about the way something he wrote in his caption sparked an idea. And out of, like, I have had downloads of words or phrases or just ideas, but I've never had a complete download of a verse before, but a whole verse
Ooh,
just downloaded to me.
dropped. Love it.
And it really was like this out of body, like weird experience. And I wouldn't change a thing about it. It was just perfect, in my opinion. It didn't come from me. It came from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I held on to that verse for forever. I'm talking years, years. I
Mhm.
mean, this is what did you call it?
The labor of
What kind of
love.
song?
Yes. The labor of
Yes, the
love
labor. I
song.
mean,
Yeah.
really, I tried to cram it into a chorus, and I tried to write another verse for it. I mean, I tried it so many different ways, and it just was not working. And then, um, in Nashville almost 3 years ago, we had a school shooting that took three adults and three children's lives, the Covenant
Mhm.
School here in Nashville.
Yes.
And one of my friends lost her 9-year-old daughter in that shooting.
Oh my
And
gosh.
after
Yeah.
that happened, and being so close to that experience, it kind of dawned on me. I think this verse has something to do with that.
Hmm.
And I wrote it last year with my friend Maya Sharp. So it was almost 2 years had passed at that point.
Hmm.
So it certainly didn't come to me right away.
Right.
But anyway, that was another one where, and I think that is the right home for that verse. I think it's a song about, well, I mean, just existential questions, really. I
Yeah.
mean, and just, I don't know, just really big questions, and about love and loss. And so anyway, I don't know. I don't know if I'll release that one or not. But that was for sure a labor of love, and that verse stuck around. I mean, I'm talking years before it found a
Wow.
home. But I think sometimes, again, all in good time. The seed was planted several years ago, and it just took the right inspiration for it to bloom. And I hate that was the inspiration that it took,
Hmm.
but I do think that it was the right, um I don't know, the right sentiment. It's a very special song to me. It's very personal.
Yes. Um, Knowing a little bit more about the backstory of that song, I feel like s- the hard the hard stuff that we sometimes don't know the answers to come to light in music, and that I feel like
Mm.
maybe that's why that verse had to wait around for a little while, is so there were more questions or more, you know hope or more grief or
Mm,
more like a different set of emotions that kind of came from the Covenant school shooting, that helped
mhm.
kind of find its own little path. And that is, oh man, I'm really glad that you shared that story because I think when I think of Labor of Love song, I'm like, oh, it's so frustrating. But at the same time, sometimes it helps you understand the feelings that you're personally going through, or kind of making, not putting a label on feelings, but maybe helping understand them a little bit more. And yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
really great
Uh,
explanation for that.
well, it's always taken me. I think some people can just go through something really hard and they need songwriting to like help them understand it and process it, and they can kind of go for it right away. I
Yeah.
have always been somebody that if I really am going to write something deeply personal that I've been grieving about, or something that's been really hard, it always takes me a while. I have to get away from it. I have to have some distance before I can really write about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just
Yeah.
doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't inspire me until I guess all of that has stewed. And to your point, like it's taken time and other emotions and processing before it can kind of come together for me.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. It really does. Because once you live with it, and once you kind of have taken a step back from it, and hindsight's 2022, I feel like that's also part of it, when you can finally look back and be like, wow, this experience changed me for the better, changed
Hmm.
me in a different light. And you know, all the better for it. Most times. Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe
Yeah.
not, but yeah. Oh goodness. Well, no, I'm so glad that you told me that. I know that the listeners and I are going to be very excited for 2026 when you release your own new music. Gonna definitely be looking out for season 2 of Leanne. Um, First of all, thank you so much for coming on this call today. I am inspired by our conversation. So thank you. I know
Oh,
the
that's
listeners out
awesome.
there. Oh, yeah. I know the listeners out there are too, for sure. Um, Before we hop off this call today, Lauren, is there anybody that you would like to give a shout out to, or anyone or anything that you'd like to like promote, or say anything else about before we hop off?
Let's see. Well, are you, I, I know I'm just going to ask you this, even though we're on
Yeah, go
camera. Are
for it.
you editing, or are we just rolling?
I'm gonna edit and then post this. Let's say, hold on, let me go through my release calendar. This will probably come out next Thursday, so probably about a week from
Okay.
today. So
That was
yeah,
my
yeah,
next question. Okay.
great. Okay,
Okay, cool. So I would say, so this year I have been really busy in creating. And again, I mentioned earlier, it's seasonal for me. So this year has been a lot about creating. So I'm super
yeah,
excited to release what I've been creating next year, which is, I'm so excited. I call my music Southern Soul.
yeah.
There's like a kind of a bluesy, swampy flavor
Hmm.
to a lot of, to my vocals, and then just to a lot of the music I've been writing, and threads of redemption and hope, and just, I don't know, I'm just really excited about the music for next year. This year, I would say, especially as we're rolling into the holidays, over the last few years, I've released quite a bit of Christmas and holiday music. And so,
Hey,
man, I'm super excited to kind of reshare some of the Christmas songs that I've released in previous years. And I'm such a sucker for holiday music. So,
oh,
so I'd love for listeners to check out what I've already have released on Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you listen. And please come find me on Instagram. I'm at Lauren Lucas Music, or my website, laurenlucas.com. I love connecting with other listeners and other music fans and other creatives. So would just love for folks to come say hello. Let's be friends.
let's be friends. I love that. Lauren Lucas, everybody. Make sure that you go follow her. Even if you haven't seen it already, tune in and watch Leanne on Netflix. It's streaming right now.
Yeah.
Season two's on the way, hopefully soon. And Lauren, I really enjoyed our chat today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, I did too. Lee, thank you.
Yes. And listeners out there, y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much for listening. Y'all, bye.